My name is Tarmack, and this is a review of Space Run Galaxy on PC. Launched on Steam and the Humble Store June 17, 2016 for $20 US. Developer is Passtech Games, and all that they've released before this was the original Space Run, of which Galaxy is a sequel. Apparently Passtech is one guy, so that's kind of impressive. Space Run Galaxy is a tower defense game, even though at first glance it may not look like it, where you play the part of a pilot under a space shipping company owned by a guy named Buck Mann, who was the star of the original Space Run. The game has a campaign story mode, which is definitely not where this game shines. It's not to say the story progression is bad, but it's certainly not a Chris Avellone epic tale. For the mechanics of the tower defense portion, there are 8 different lanes of approach for things to get in your way, and you not only have to position weapons in the right direction, but also ensure that you have enough engine speed to finish the run in the fastest time to get the highest rewards. Many of the objects that you want to place down have limitations on where they can be placed. The base gun you start with a few copies of has to be placed at an edge and cannot be rotated or moved once it's been placed. Others have no such restriction. Beyond that, there are also buffing items like shield generators and repair objects that interact directly with the adjacent weapons and utility items next to them. It's all quite a clever structure. One of my favorite features of the game comes in the form of ship construction. All of the ships are built from hexagonal blocks, and each ship has a basic form factor upon which you can add additional blocks to customize your ship further. These blocks, of course, require resources to build, but you can remove them from one ship and place them on a different one, the basics of which you will buy from a merchant. Each run, shipping goods from one planet to another, can be done multiple times, and apparently there are 100 distinct runs built into the game, including everything from space rocks to ships, space pirates, and giant monsters. The interesting thing about each distinct run, though, is while the number of critters is the same, the direction they come from has a random element to it, which keeps things feeling different enough for my tastes, on the odd occasion I wanted to do the same run a few times to move my blue defensive contraband. One of the limiting factors is the various colored resources that you need to build even more various types of objects to place on your ship. Everything from weapons to shields and engines are put together from 3 different colored resources. And of course, each of the planets you visit has a mechanic, but each mechanic has a level and colors of items that they can't construct. What this leaves the player with is a need to ship materials across from one planet to the next. You're a pilot for a shipping company after all, so you can do this yourself, even outside of any quest mission. But moving significant amounts of resources means you'll have fewer spots on your ship to make the journey, so it can take a while. Alternatively, Galaxy introduces player contracts, a feature where you can spend a bit of coin instead and open up essentially your own contract that other players can accept to move goods for you. In addition to the contracts, you can also both buy and sell items to other players. This gives an impression of an always-on internet kind of game, but Galaxy does have an offline mode as well. As far as performance is concerned, the title runs as smooth as silk, and while it's not going to win any awards for graphical fidelity, that doesn't take away from the aesthetic, and frankly, I think it looks great either way. You can select resolutions from 1080p down to 640 by 480, turn shadows and VSync on and off, rebind keys to your heart's content, and play with individual volume sliders. My only disappointment for a game in this style in the options side is that you can only select full screen or windowed, with no borderless windowed option available. Disappointing, but not the end of the world. Most of the criticism that Galaxy has gotten thus far is in relation to server stability and crashing, and these were absolutely issues immediately on launch. I didn't have time to get the review done by that point, and I've since put some time in recently, and in my experience those issues appear to be resolved. I have not had a crash since my initial launch playtime, and I get into ship runs in just seconds, whereas there had been longer delays on launch. In conclusion, Space Run Galaxy is a well-polished revision of the original Space Run with what looks, to my eye at least, an improved aesthetic. The incorporation of the galaxy itself that you can travel around, plot elements to keep things moving, multiplayer features for creating contracts for other players or accepting them to make some coin yourself are all welcome features that give the game a bit more of a sense of life. The voice acting is good, the characters are well designed if intentionally cliched, and the gameplay is smooth as silk, as I said. This is the kind of game similar to something like The Binding of Isaac or Enter the Gungeon, where dropping in for a run or two and then not touching it again for a few days feels totally normal. I like games in this vein where you can spend a lot or a little time and still feel a sense of accomplishment. For a $20 game, it is definitely worth recommending. This has been a review of Space Run Galaxy by Passtech Games on PC. It launched June 17th on Steam and the Humble Store for $20 US. I'm Tarmack. Thanks for watching.